This episode of The Reasons I'm Broke is brought to you by Audible.
Sign up today and get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/nerdupmedia.
There's over 150,000 titles to choose from, all available on your Android device, Kindle, and iPhone.
Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to The Reasons I'm Broke, bringing you the reasons we're broke, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Daniel.
And for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome! The way we format our show is first we start out with some news, again ranging from comics, TV, video games, and more, and we follow up with our comic book pull list of the week.
Being the holiday season, it seems like a lot of people are out of town, people are out of the office. It is a very slow news week. We do have a couple of pieces relating to the video game world because a lot of people got brand new PlayStations or Xboxes, which we will touch up on. But we still have some comics this week. Pretty much a normal stack, huge amount of DC. I believe next week is going to be the smaller week. Once a year, they have the 1 week where it's like, okay, here's a break. You won't get a lot of comics. You can hold off on your wallet. Everything will be fine. But we're going to get you fucking double the week after.
They always do.
They always do. I'm like, all right, you got me again. Let's do this again. 2015, another year of comics.
So our first piece of news is video game related. The Game Boy Advance Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire Pinball has gotten a North American release date of January 1st, 2015.
We had covered this bit of news about a month or two ago, saying that I think Europe or Japan was getting this game already, and we were awaiting a release date for North America. But we finally...
I think I remember you saying, like, we don't know if it's going to come out in America, and I'm like, it's going to come out here. Please.
Well, it did. You're right. It's actually coming out on the Wii U eShop, so you can play it on your big screen TV in full high def, sort of. But it will be $8, $7.99.
Yep, and so that countdown's going to start on the 31st. It's going to go 5, 4, and Dan's going to be sitting there waiting for the download button like, refresh, refresh. Not ringing in the new year, ringing in Pokemon Pinball.
Yeah, I had a fun time playing the game. I loved it when I played it, and I never actually beat it. And I think now that I have it on the Wii shop, and I have a little bit more extra time now with school and everything, and we're on that break between semesters, I think I can put in some heavy pinball gaming. Did you ever play this one?
I didn't.
Okay, I'll let you play it. I think you'll have fun with it.
Is it going to be like that space pinball for my PC? Does anybody remember that? It was on Windows. I'm sure some of our brokettes remember that. If you remember the space pinball, I don't even know what it was called. I just call it space pinball. Then hit us up on Twitter at Reasons I'm Broke. Just say, yo, Kelly, I remember that space, but dat, D-A-T, space pinball from Windows. And we'll be bros for life.
So you're trying to log on to the Xbox Network or PlayStation Network right now. You probably can't. Xbox and PlayStation users in North America and Europe are having problems logging into Xbox Live and the PlayStation Network. Today being December 25th, a lot of presents are being opened. A lot of brand new users are going into the network, and it's clogging up the systems.
I have a feeling this happens every year.
It happens every single year.
Then what are people complaining about? Calm down.
Every single year. And I actually don't expect to log on to any of that for like the first week of this right now.
That's right, because kids are still out of school for like another week.
Right.
So when they go back in school, then you can log on. You know what I want? I want Xbox and PlayStation to allow less users today than normal, just to be assholes.
Do you know what other week has this same exact problem with the network? What other huge game releases every single year, and every single year people immediately log on to play online?
Madden, Call of Duty?
It's Call of Duty for sure. Yeah, whenever a new Call of Duty comes out, I don't think it happened this year. There was definitely some lag problems with everyone playing. It didn't bring down the entire network. But when Black Ops 2 came out, I remember I'm a huge Black Ops player. I love the first one. I picked up the second one. Haven't played one since. But when the second one came out, there was no network. People couldn't get online, and people bitched and bitched because it's Call of Duty, and people immediately want to jump in there.
Well, y'all need to just stop getting all the games at once, and then we wouldn't have this problem.
But yeah, this is always going to happen every single December, right at the end, when everyone's getting a brand new system. Expect this. This is not a new thing. Also, if you did get a brand new iDevice or an Android device, we hope that you download the Stitcher app and immediately subscribe not just to our podcast, but to our other podcasts on the Nerd Up Media Network, like Those Two Jerks that cover sports and geek news. We also have the Read Pile. You can download the YouTube app and subscribe to their channel as well as ours, because we do have unboxing videos on there. And finally, the Lazy Gaming Guys, another YouTube channel on the Nerd Up Media Network. They do Let's Plays. They put out a ton of content every week. They're a great bunch of guys too.
And that actually is it for our news this week. We did tell you that it was going to be a small week. But before we move into our comics, we want to give you our free Audible audiobook recommendation of the week.
The audiobook is Extra Lives, Why Video Games Matter.
The synopsis is, Extra Lives is an impassioned defense on the assaulted and misunderstood art form. Author Tom Bissell argues that we are in a golden age of gaming, but he also believes games could be even better.
We absolutely are in a golden age of gaming. Never ever in the whole time that I've been playing video games have we had this many games at once every single year. Used to be when I was a kid, like you would get maybe 1 or 2 video games a year. I don't know if you guys remember that growing up. Maybe you were more fortunate than I was. But yeah, you would get one game, because they were sometimes $60 to $90 in the case of Pokemon Snap, and that's all you would get for Christmas. Like, pick out a video game, that's the one you're going to get. None of this thing today where you have the convenience of being able to trade your game in for credit or selling it on eBay and picking up other games that are on sale with better graphics, with better gameplay than what we grew up with. Don't confuse nostalgia with quality. Yes, this is a golden age of gaming, and you can hear more about it when you download this audiobook on audible.com.
It is free with your trial when you sign up at audibletrial.com/nerdupmedia.
Brokettes get a free audiobook download of their choice along with a free 30-day trial. Again, that's only at audibletrial.com/nerdupmedia.
And with that, we can go ahead and move into our comic book pool list of the week. We're going to start out with indie books. First up is Adventure Time number 35. This is written by Ryan North, art by Shelley Paraline, and the colorist is Brandon Lamb.
Yeah, pretty hefty amount of indie books this week. But the Adventure Time is actually a finale for a team of creators. They've been on Adventure Time since the beginning. We're on issue number 35 now, and that is it for Ryan North and crew. It's going to be a brand new team next month with number 36.
I'm sad to see them go. They've done some great stories, great Ice King stuff, and now they're leaving me.
It's the entire team, too. It's not just Ryan North. It's the artist Shirley Paraline and the colorist Brandon Lamb. It's a pretty big deal. I mean, I know they're doing some work with Marvel, and I'm glad that they actually got to finish their arc and close off on a little one-shot story with this. But I don't know what to expect now out of Adventure Time, because we were enjoying a lot of these stories, and it's been a really solid series. I've said it before, I like the comic more than the cartoon, and I hope that it all continues with the new team. I don't want them to try to recreate what this team was doing, but, you know, do something, do something fun, do what you need to. The nice thing about these comics that relate and how it relates to the cartoons is that they have more freedom with what they do and with the characters, such as the love story between Princess Bubblegum and Marceline, or the Ice King. Like, you can expand even more on his backstory, like that picture that he had at the bottom of the ocean in that treasure box.
Ice King!
That kind of stuff. So let them do what they want, the new creators, you know, give them some freedom, and they'll give you a solid book just like this team has. So let's talk about this final story. Did they end with a bang?
I thought it was really good. It's a great story of friendship and everybody coming together, and all these different characters that some of them you kind of feel they're reluctant friends. I mean, even in the cartoon, it's, you know, Finn and Jake and Ice King, they're not really friends, and how does LSP fit into that, and BMO, and it kind of brings all of them together in a roundabout way and just makes them so much closer.
Pretty much LSP's star is missing, and she doesn't know where it went, how it disappeared, at what time, so she is having every one of the major characters in Adventure Time break down where they were and what their alibi is. So that's where the humor comes in with this story. You have Ice King, and he's just like, I'm just trying to pick up princesses, and Finn and Jake are trying to sneak into the party as like princesses as well, so they cross-dress. So it is a great story. You have the notes at the bottom, like always. And like you said earlier, it does end the story with a message about friendship and what it means to, what these characters mean to LSP. If you like LSP, it's pretty much her story.
And who doesn't like LSP, please?
With all those lumps, she's mighty sexy. Next is Bee and Puppy Cat number 7, written by Kristen Garland, Matt Rupert, Wookjin Clark, and Shauna Matuzak, with art by Kristen Garland, Matt Rupert, and Wookjin Clark, with colors by Whitney Kogar.
I love Bee and Puppy Cat comics. They're so sweet and so adorable, and Puppy Cat's hilarious.
Yeah, you get 3 little mini stories in this comic, just like you do with the rest of the stories. And I feel like this is starting now to tie into what we saw just a couple of months ago with this brand new season. Because they do throw in some hints of like, oh yeah, I remember that from the new season that just aired. Mm-hmm. And you're seeing that in the comic. And I do like when they do that. They don't tie themselves to the series too much, but they're still like, oh look, here's this thing that you remember.
It's in the same universe, exactly. It did have your favorite character though, Deckard.
I hate Deckard.
He was in there.
I don't like him.
What's wrong with Deckard?
He can leave the comic. He can leave the cartoon.
Why don't you like Deckard? What's wrong with Deckard?
You know what? Deckard can return for book 5 of The Legend of Korra. That's where he can go.
Why don't you like Deckard? What? You've never told me why you hate him.
I don't like Deckard because I don't feel like he is good for Bee. I feel like Puppy Cat is better for Bee, and he needs to take his career and leave.
You've become me for this story.
What do you mean?
Well, because I'm always like that with like characters that I don't like that other people should be with. I'm just like, they just need to die. So you have become me.
Yeah, I actually have. The obvious love story that they're clearly building, such as Aang and what's her name from the Avatar:
Katara,
The Last Airbender,
they weren't building that. They were building Katara and Zuko. And Aang can just go disappear in his little, like, monkly celibate ways. That's fine. See you later, Aang.
Now you're doing that.
See you later. Goodbye.
Good.
Katara and Zuko. Zutara for life.
Deckard is what Aang is to you. That's what Deckard is to me.
I feel like you hate Deckard more than I hate Aang. Because Aang could say if he wanted to marry Toph. I think they'd be good together. But Toph would also be good with Sokka.
And on top of that, like Deckard was he was nothing to the story, just like he's nothing in the cartoon. He was a wimp, and Puppy Cat needs to just hit him some more. Physically harm this character for my amusement.
That's horrible.
And then he can kiss Bee again.
That's horrible. And they could share gum. He's still a puppy cat. That's weird.
And the Beast from Beauty and the Beast was a beast.
But did they kiss when he was still a beast?
Possibly. Like a lot of time. Oh, that whole time when they were in the winter.
On the lips?
Okay, in Bee and Puppy Cat, one time it happened on accident.
He had fangs.
And the second time, it was Bee going in for the kiss.
But the Beast has fangs. That's weird.
And Puppy Cat does not, so not weird.
But he's a puppy cat.
He's a prince that's stuck in a monster's body. She doesn't know
that. She thinks it's her animal. Like, why would you go just...
She knows he's not normal. They go on adventures.
But that doesn't mean she thinks he has, like, a humanoid form. She just thinks he's a puppy cat.
Okay, then protect your precious Deckard from this weirdo that makes out with this puppy cat thing. There, now your Deckard can remain pure in your eyes.
I never said I like Deckard. I just don't know why you hate him so much.
I did. Did you catch the reference to DDR in the last story?
That was great.
They're pretty much like, yeah, you might be good at DDR, but you still suck at dancing in real life. Yeah. That's kind of the lesson that she learns. And then she fucking elbows Deckard in the end. I was like,
She elbows him like twice in the face.
Twice.
You're so mean. Poor Deckard. He didn't even do anything.
Not poor Deckard.
Didn't even do anything. Our next book is Capture Creatures number 2. This is written by Frank Gibson with art by Becky Dreystadt, and the colorist is Tracy Lang.
I like this one more than number 1.
I do too. There's more Pokemans. I mean, capture creatures.
There are more capture creatures, and there's actually more character development than what we had in the first issue.
You think there's going to be a capture creature snap?
I doubt that.
Oh man, that'd be such a good game. And we'll just call it Pokemon Snap. But it'll be capture creatures. We'll all know.
So the professor character is now my favorite character in the story.
Yes.
Just because he straight up punches one of the Pokemon in the face.
He punched Jolteon in the face.
I was like, hell yeah, finally, someone punches a Pokemon. Like, I know Ash tried in Pokemon the first movie. Do you remember that moment?
No.
Like, Mewtwo standing there like, oh, I got these fucking clones. And Ash is like, you leave them alone. And he runs up and he tries to deck fucking Mewtwo in the belly. I'm like, what the hell? He's gonna deck Mewtwo. He said, fuck using Pokemon.
Ash used punch.
Yeah. And Mewtwo like blocks it with his barrier and just tosses him aside. If it works in Smash Brothers, why can't it work in the Pokemon movies?
I guess.
If I can run up as Fox and kick Mewtwo, I'm sure Ash, a 10-year-old kid, can punch Mewtwo. But yes, we see that happen in Capture Creatures number 2.
He punches Jolteon. That was pretty cool. We do learn a lot about him. And I do feel bad for him. He seems like he's a very tragic character. Mm-hmm. We run into Princess Mononoke.
Yeah.
We get to see a Spinda.
Right.
And a grown-up Spinda. Mm-hmm. Does Spinda evolve?
I don't know.
Okay, so Spinda and bigger Spinda. There was a Lotad in there.
A Lombre as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes, he was in there. And other things that look like more Pokemon.
Yeah. They're essentially like the knockoffs of what's already existing, and I love that.
I do.
think that's
I love
hilarious.
it. I think it's great. But I know that it's so similar to Pokemon, but I don't feel like it's ripping off Pokemon. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the story's original.
The story's great. All these new designs are so much fun, and I want to play a game with these in it. I think it's awesome.
And I like that they sort of secluded them to this island, these capture creatures. So it's not something that the world is used to already. And I think that's great because we're discovering as the characters are.
So we can find a different region, another 150 of them. And everybody will be surprised that we didn't know about it when we found the first 150.
See, they're setting up ahead of time.
Oh.
They know what they're doing.
So frustrating. Does nobody have telephones? Does nobody talk to somebody from far away? And
Not in the world of... They also don't have sexes. They have to ask you if you're a boy or girl.
Oh, this is true. They can't tell.
It's an identity you choose.
But you can tell with Pokemans just by looking at them.
Right.
Because they have like one extra stripe on their cheek.
Yeah.
But like boobs, they can't. You have no idea.
And if it's Jinx, they all, male and female, have boobs. If it's Alakazam, male and female have a beard and a mustache. And even female Machokes are topless because they just run around like that.
Well, good for... You know what? Let them live their life.
It's a free world.
Yeah.
The world of Pokemon.
We all live in a free Pokemon world.
Next is this mega supersized McBain number 1. That's right, McBain from The Simpsons, written by Nathan Kane, art by John Delaney, and colors by Art Villanueva.
This is actually my pick of the week.
Look at this monstrosity.
It's amazing.
Like, it's just fucking... I'm
amazing.
unfolding it. And
let me tell you why it's my pick of the week. So, I do like these Simpson comics, but I was not expecting anything from this book. I'm like, it'll be mediocre. It was like, I want to say it was my first one that I read this week. Mm-hmm. Which, for those of you who don't know, I read the one I'm least excited for first and the one I'm most excited for last.
That should be something we talk about, actually. Like, how do we decide? I'm sure some listeners are like, how do they decide which one they're going to read first and which one they're going to read last?
I look at the covers. No, just whatever sounds interesting. For example, Bee and Puppy Cat, I always know that I love that book, so it gets read last. Saga, I always love, it gets read last. Batmans are always usually near the bottom. Mm-hmm. McBain is usually near the top. Or Simpsons.
You didn't expect much from it.
Exactly. But this surprised me. So you were talking about this monstrosity. It's a fucking poster.
Yes, it is.
It's a poster on one side and it is a comic on the back. So trying to read this thing is a pain in the ass.
It is, yeah. I mean, go to your local comic book shop, head on over to the M section for the indies, and look at McBain number 1. Like, oh, it's just a comic. Then you open it and you're like, wait a second. And like you said, it's a fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger poster. Mm-hmm. Like, it's him on the cover, like explosions. There's like the sexy girl. There's a giant gun on there. And you can frame this comic after you read it. Or you can frame the comic portion. Just flip it aside. Mm-hmm. And you can always read it. Like, just frame it and read it.
Read it forever.
But yeah, it is every stereotype from the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
And it was so much fun. And he did so many of his famous lines. And I was just like, you guys didn't even try. That's clearly, it's not a tumor. And get to the chopper. Like, you didn't even try to not pretend that this was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And they even fight the predators in the first page. Like, those are fucking predators.
I liked his friend who came down from heaven. Tyson Neil deGrasse.
Yes.
And I was like, what's Neil deGrasse Tyson doing in here? Oh, it's great.
Yeah, awesome comic. Almost my pick of the week, but yeah, great choice.
Mm-hmm. Next, we have our one Marvel book this week. It is She-Hulk number 11. This is written by Charles Soule with art by Javier Pulido, and the colorist is Munsa Vincente.
This is essentially just an action book. It was a little different than the previous She-Hulks because we just finished a court story, very massive, with Captain America, and now we are finding a team that's been sent to kill She-Hulk or to put an end to her because she is getting close to discovering what we found out in the very first issue at the very beginning of this series about this mysterious blue file and what is going on with this. Why is it that every time she gets close to figuring it out, someone ends up dying? And since we do know She-Hulk is going to get its final issue in a couple of months, we are finally they're letting us know, okay, this is what the file's about, and we're going to end it in a couple of issues, so here you go. But I was a little bit disappointed with this because it was just action after action after action.
I agree. I felt it was, because this book is written by a lawyer. I felt it was him defending him and his lawyer self because the person is accusing She-Hulk, like, you don't have a real job because you're just a lawyer. And then she says some, like, badass response, like, lawyers are the shit or something. I don't even know. And then they fight, and then they destroy stuff. And then we finally find out what's up with the weird Asian lady and the monkey, and
Yeah, I mean, there were two good moments. That, the monkey itself, like, there's this great reveal on who the monkey is and how much of a badass the little monkey is. But then also, the actual progression for the action was really creative. Like, you had them fighting from one end of town to the other. Like, that was really cool. And the way that the panels were set up to where she was, like, punched through literally the panels as the comic continued, I thought that was really clever. But other than that, yeah, it was just a lot of fluff, unfortunately. Not my pass of the week, though.
Mine either.
Next is Arkham Manor number 3, one of our many DC books this week, written by Jerry Dugan, art by Sean Crystal, and colors by Dave McCaig.
This one was so spooky.
It was almost as scary as the Batman annual that we're going to review next. But we're figuring out that, okay, Batman, under the disguise of Matches Malone. It's fucking Matches Malone. He's like, okay, Zsasz is out there. I'm going to find them in my house. And I'm going to put an end to this. And then I'm going to get out of here. No more running around my own home and figuring out stuff. And when he discovers, wait a second, Zsasz? It's not that easy. It's never that easy in comics. Like, oh yeah, it's obviously not Zsasz because Batman thinks it's Zsasz. When he discovers that it's not that character, that's when, at the same time, the writer kind of puts this feeling of being lost on the reader as well as Batman, in which even Batman says, I know these hallways like the back of my hand, but it's the innards, everything inside the Arkham Manor that I don't really know. And there are things hidden in here that I can actually lose to. And that's where I felt like where I really, really appreciated this comic, and where, like you said, it did get scary.
I agree. That's a really smart thing for the writer to do, because you would think, okay, it's in his house, he can figure out it all, but would Batman really spend the time to go and learn every single secret passage in his house? I'm sure he knows where it is, but has he explored it? Has he studied it? He probably thought there would be no need. So that is a fantastic tactic to use.
On top of that, we have this character that we discovered, if you read the last Batman issue, has been the Joker all along for these past couple of months, that we've been like, where the hell's the Joker? I don't know, he'll come back in a future arc. No, he's been there the whole time. He's been there for Batman Eternal, and he's here in Arkham Manor. And since we figured out last week when they revealed it to us, and they reveal it here, but I'm sure that's where they wanted the huge reveal to be. As you're reading this, you're like, oh shit, this is the Joker actually. This is what he's doing. He's actually making things worse for Batman. And it's just surprise after surprise, just like Batman is in the Arkham Manor, and that's why Arkham Manor number 3 is my pick of the week.
Really? Your pick of the week? That was a good pick of the week. This next one was almost my pick of the week, but McBain won out. This is Batman Annual number 3. It's written by James Tynion IV, with art by Rogue Antonio, and the colorist is Nikki Filardi.
Do you remember the episode of Batman the Animated Series, Joker's Favor?
Yes.
That's what this is. It's yes. Joker's Favor.
But, like, way crazier.
It's Joker's Favor if it didn't have to be a cartoon.
Joker's Favor on steroids.
Yeah, Joker finds a friend in a fucking person.
Mm-hmm. Some reporter tells him off once, and he's like, you know what? Yeah, we should be friends. Follows him his entire life.
And when the Joker says he's your friend, he learns every single thing about you. The things that you think no one else knows about, he knows about. He knows about his affair. He knows about all his favorite foods, everything. And that's where the scariness of the Joker returns, like always. That's the new Joker that we're seeing in the New 52. And that's how he is also torturing this friend of his. Like, he's being such a great and loyal friend to him that he can't hide and he can't go anywhere. When he passes out one time, he wakes up with just blood smears that say, "I miss you," with a heart. Like, and it's so funny to me, like, I'm laughing as I'm reading. I was like, this is so creepy. You know?
I love this because you go on this journey, this slow progression of madness with this man. At the end of the book, I was terrified and I felt I was going crazy. And then they just wrap it up so beautifully at the end where your heart just drops. Perfect.
Yes. Very powerful book. The only small thing that I will say about this annual is if you're not reading Batman Eternal, if you haven't read Arkham Manor or even the main Batman story, that last page and where the character ends up as far as Arkham Asylum won't be as powerful, because as you're reading this, you're like, okay, I know who this is and who the character is that the Joker is disguising himself as. And that's what ramps up the fear at the very end. Mm-hmm. But if you haven't been reading those, you're just like, oh, okay, well, whatever. He's somehow in there. I don't get it. So if you're not reading the main Batman series, you will be a little bit confused by that. But if you're picking up the annual, there's no reason why you shouldn't have been reading Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder's run. Next is Harley Quinn number 13, written by Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti, art by Chad Hardin, and colors by Alex Sinclair.
This is wrapping up our Power Girl run, where Harley Quinn convinces Power Girl that they're BFFs, crime-fighting duo, and they wear skimpy outfits.
Yeah, we ended up getting both covers, the Amanda Conner regular main cover, and then the Darwin Cook variant, which he's a phenomenal artist. If you checked our Twitter or Facebook today, we put up our pictures for our DC stack, Indie, and Marvel. A lot of Darwin Cook. We also got that Aquaman one where he's kissing Mara. Gorgeous cover. Just beautiful. But as far as the Power Girl run, we knew that she was going to come about to her back of itself, and it was going to be hilarious. And it is. It's very, very funny. If you've been liking Harley Quinn up to this point, like all of those jokes that you're used to, this Looney Tunes humor continues in this issue.
She was hitting on Power Girl real hard. She wanted a piece of that.
Well, we know Harley Quinn is also gay. Her and Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
And she likes the Joker as well. She also hit on, there's a couple of male characters as well that she's been hitting on.
That's true. She just wants it from wherever.
Yeah.
Overall, I thought it was adorable. It was a great way to wrap this up. Jimmy and Amanda do a great job. I cannot wait to see what the next arc is. Also, the friendship established between Power Girl and Harley Quinn, I now want that to return in the future. Like, yeah, let's have Harley, Ivy, and Catwoman, the Gotham City Sirens. But in the future, I want another story with Power Girl. Like, it felt like a superhuman being next to this Harley Quinn, this insane clown, is just adorable. And I love it. Next up, we have the long-awaited Robin Rises Alpha #1. This is written by Peter J. Tomasi with art by Andy Kubert, and the colorist is Brad Anderson.
Definitely read last week's Batman and Robin before you read this one-shot. It won't make much sense if you haven't been reading this Robin Rises story. The art, to be honest, is a little bit of a step down because I love Pat Gleason so much, and that page in which Damian and Batman are embracing one another that we've seen in the previous arcs, when Andy Kubert does it, it doesn't have that same impact. I don't know if it's just the way he draws his art or the fact that maybe he hasn't been doing the story the whole time. I'm not sure, but it's a little bit jarring to see what was previously like a much better version of it and then recreated here, and it's not as good.
I agree. This story kind of disappointed me a little bit. I didn't feel it was as heartwarming or emotional as it should have been. I felt like they were trying to stuff a lot of stuff in here. Like, okay, glad you're back, let's do this thing, and we took care of this guy, and this is why that I did these things, and now that, it was too much for me.
You know what other book this one is just like? We were just talking about it. She-Hulk. This is exactly like She-Hulk, where it's just one big action scene, and that is it. The 2 bits of relevant information you will find is how Damian Wayne has changed because of his resurrection, and the other is that Talia is actually back. Like, we obviously need her in the future, and we need her to realize that father and son are back, because you can do so much good stuff there as far as the story. But other than that, I mean, it's a $5 story of just action.
Action.
And it's
Agreed.
not even from an artist that we've been loving. Mm-hmm. But if you are reading the Batman and Robin series, I definitely say you have to pick this up for the rest of the story. It's a great piece in everyone's collection.
Alfred was a badass.
Oh, there you go. So for the Alfred moments.
There was a moo cow.
Yes, even the fucking Bat Cow did some shit and did his part against fucking...
What's his name?
War from Star Trek, because that's the voice that did it in Justice League.
he's what's his Darkseid's son or something?
Yes, yeah, it is.
Like, he looks like Wolverine, kind of.
It's War from Star Trek, because that's the guy that did his voice.
Worferine.
All right, Wolferine.
Okay, Wolverine.
Our final book in the DC list is Sinestro number 8, which is also Godhead Act 3, Part 5. It's written by Cullen Bunn, art by Martin Coccolo. You're a Coccolo.
I'm not a Coccolo. You're
Colors
a Coccolo.
by Jason Wright.
Not a Coccolo. Stop making fun of people's names.
We also got the Darwin Cook cover for this one.
Which is pretty badass. He's like, come to me, my hookers.
Yeah, it's just Sinestro in a throne, and everyone's
There's lots of ladies around him. He's like, my concubines.
And he's got some Green Lanterns dead out in his front lawn or something, and he's got wine.
Some grapes.
I think this is the last part of that whole Godhead Green Lantern event that is going on that I'm assuming will end as far as Convergence once that starts. But the last 2 Sinestro issues have been set in that storyline, and we said before that we don't mind it because they have been good comics. This, I felt, has been the weakest one so far.
Agreed. This was so boring. And I don't know if it's just because we only read the Sinestro ones. So I feel like the last Sinestro one ended in a really great way, and suddenly we skipped really far ahead to what's happening now, and I never got to see the conclusion of that. But it wasn't fun. Yeah,
you almost think you're going to get a Sinestro moment in this, and he ends up just like running away. I'm like, fuck, man, like that's the whole, he's been doing this the whole arc, like he's in control and he knows what he's doing, and even if it spins out of reach, he'll figure out a way to win. And here it's just like, oh shit, bye, and leaves.
Peace out, yo.
Yeah, I think the good part about the comic is that we're figuring out that Parallax is starting to become more disobedient to Sinestro, where he does have to ask twice, like, no, I'm your superior being, your owner, and you have to listen to me. And you're like, oh shit, like he may not have Parallax for much longer.
Agreed. I think this is actually my pass of the week.
My pass of the week as well, unfortunately. It is the first Sinestro book in which we do say is our pass of the week, and that kind of sucks, but it is also not one of the Lantern books that's being canceled before Convergence, so that makes us happy. Like, okay, we had a little stumble here, but let's get back to the story. Let's end this Godhead stuff and get back to Sinestro doing a Sinestro thing.
And that will actually do it for our podcast this week. Like we said, a much slower week. Next time we return, we will be doing a top 5 countdown of our best things of this past year.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet if we're going to do video games or not, but we're definitely doing our favorite series as far as the comics go. And we actually want to hear from all of you brokettes out there. What has been your favorite video game or comic series, all of the above, that you have experienced, read, played with all year? We'll give you a shout out on the podcast, of course. And if you got any holiday gifts, like something really awesome that you want to share with us, send it over on Twitter or just let us know on Facebook. Again, we'll share it on the podcast and congratulate you on all the awesome, cool new stuff.
And get jealous. So just send us your address with that and leave the window open.
Otherwise, we'll give you a reason why your window's broke.
The Reasons Your Window's Broke podcast.
Leave a little calling card on the windowsill. Who are these assholes?
Love it, love it. Can we put somebody I don't like's phone number on those cards? So they're calling them?
Call here for any complaints or to get your stuff back. Yeah, we'll do that. And Ascenti, here's your warning. But we do want to thank all of you that have left reviews on iTunes and on Stitcher. And for any new listeners, if you just got a brand new device and you're tuning in, thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/TheReasonsI'mBroke, and follow us on Twitter @ReasonsI'mBroke.
For an easy place to find everywhere you can listen to us through, go to nerdupmedia.com. You can click on the reasons I'm broke and see everything. Otherwise, you can check out some of our sister podcasts as well.
If you want to help keep us going, all of us at nerdupmedia.com, we have set up a shop. You can get a t-shirt with the Nerd Up Media logo in various sizes for men and women, as well as 4 different colors. That's blue, red, gray, and black. Use some of that holiday monies and help keep us going. If not, if you're like, hey, I didn't get any holiday money, I don't celebrate the holidays, or I spent it all, or whatever it is, they all went to bills, you know what you can do for free? Leave us a review on Stitcher or on iTunes. It does a lot, goes a long way, and helps other people find us.
Thank you all so much for listening, and happy holidays. Please stay safe. I know there's lots of liquor out there. As always, I'm Kelli.
And I'm Daniel.
We'll see you next time.